You know that bell pepper you slice up for your salad, or the one that's on your pizza? Well, its journey to your plate is, honestly, it's an epic. We're talking ancient history, deep science, and some really high-stakes farming. So let's dive in and uncover the surprisingly complex story behind this everyday vegetable.
Right? I mean, we see them all the time. They're just sitting there in the grocery store, looking all crisp and green. So simple, so unassuming. But that perfect uniform look, that's just the final chapter of a story that's, well, anything but simple. It's really the end result of a long and kind of intense process.
So, have you ever really wondered what it takes to grow the perfect pepper? I can tell you it's way more than just, sticking a seed in the ground and waiting. It's a story that involves thousands of years of history and some seriously advanced farming tech.
Okay, so to really get the pepper we eat today, we've got to go back. I mean, way, way back. See, this isn't just some modern crop. This is a plant with incredibly deep roots in human history. And this journey it's incredible. Think about this. We're talking about remnants of this plant found in caves in Central America from 7000 BC. The Incas, the Aztecs, the Mayans, they all held it in super high regard. Then, boom, 1493, Columbus brings it over to Europe, and from there it just spread like wildfire across the globe to become the staple we know today.
And right at the heart of what makes a pepper, well, a pepper, is the science of spice. You know that heat you get from most peppers? That comes from a compound called capsaicin. Now for the bell pepper, we've pretty much bred that trait out. But capsaicin is the key ingredient that gives all its cousins, from jalapenos to habaneros, their signature fire.
And our fascination with this plant is nothing new. I mean, we've been studying it for centuries. Just look at old-school botanical illustrations like this one. It's that long, deep history of just watching and learning that really laid the groundwork for the super scientific approach farmers take today.
So how do you actually grow one on a commercial scale? Well, here's the secret. It doesn't start with a seed in the ground. Nope. It starts with literally engineering the perfect soil environment long before a single plant even gets there.
And that right there, that's the whole philosophy of modern pepper farming. Success isn't planted, it's prepared. The huge majority of the work is all in the prep, creating this perfect little world for the plant to just thrive in.
And this just shows you how intense that preparation is. Okay, step 1, deep tillage. A big plow goes in and creates this huge volume of loose soil. Step 2 is subsoiling, which basically shatters those super compacted layers way down deep, like 16, 18 inches. That lets the roots go way, way down. And finally, they create these raised beds, which helps with drainage and warms up the soil faster in the spring. It's all about giving those plants a major head start.
Oh, and here's another key piece of the puzzle. Farmers almost never plant actual pepper seeds directly out in the field. Instead, they use these little seedlings that have been started in a greenhouse. And specifically, they prefer container-grown ones. Why? Well, because there's way less shock to the plant when it's moved, so it starts growing again almost immediately. And that leads to a much more uniform, much more reliable crop in the end.
All right, so once that foundation is perfectly set, the farm basically transforms into this high-tech support system. They use all these modern materials and methods to control pretty much every single aspect of the plant's environment.
And the MVP of this whole system? You're looking at it, plastic mulch. And trust me, it's not just a simple sheet of plastic. This stuff is a workhorse. It warms the soil, it stops weeds, it saves water, it keeps fertilizer from washing away. And get this, some of the shiny, metallized versions can even repel insects that carry nasty viruses. It's basically a complete life support system in a thin sheet. And just look at the scale of this. I mean, these aren't just a few rows in your backyard garden, right? This is industrial-level farming, where every single one of those beds is perfectly prepared and covered to squeeze out every bit of yield and efficiency.
Okay, so you might be wondering, if the ground is totally covered in plastic, how in the world do you feed the plants? Well, the answer is this cool word, fertigation. It's exactly what it sounds like, a mix of fertilizer and irrigation. There's a drip tape that runs underneath the plastic, and it delivers this perfectly customized nutrient cocktail right to the plant's roots, all season long.
But of course, even with all this incredible prep work, the plants are still super vulnerable. So protecting the crop from all the bugs and diseases out there, that requires a constant, really vigilant spray program. So when the plants are still small, the spray setup is pretty simple. You just need a few nozzles set up to cover the little seedlings, delivering protection without wasting a bunch of spray. But then, as the plants get bigger and turn into these dense, bushy things, that simple setup just won't cut it anymore. the technology has to adapt. They start adding multiple nozzles at all different angles, trying to get that spray to penetrate the thick canopy. The goal is to make sure every single leaf, top and bottom, gets covered. It is all about precision. So, you've got all this technology, all this amazing preparation, but growing peppers is still a battle, a real battle. For the entire season, farmers are basically fighting a non-stop war against a whole army of natural threats. And this quote from the University of Georgia really just says it all. Successful pepper production is not easily achieved. I mean, that's putting it mildly. This is not for the faint of heart. It takes serious, intensive management and just a deep, deep understanding of everything that could possibly go wrong. And the list of things that can go wrong, it's huge. Farmers are fighting this constant multi-front war. You've got physiological problems like blossom end rot, which is caused by just a nutrient imbalance. You've got devastating viruses and bacterial diseases that can just tear through a field. There are these fungal-like things lurking in the soil just waiting to cause rot. And on top of all that, there are microscopic pests like nematodes attacking the roots where you can't even see them. And take a look at this. This is what just one of those threats, bacterial spot, looks like. It starts off as these tiny, kind of innocent-looking spots, but it can quickly cause the leaves to turn yellow and fall off. And when that happens, the plant can't make food for itself, and it can't produce peppers. An entire season's worth of work can be just wiped out in a matter of weeks. This is what they're fighting with every single one of those sprays. So, okay, after all of that, the deep tillage, the plastic mulch, the fertigation, the non-stop battle against pests and diseases, after all of that, we finally get to the harvest. And the scale of that final payoff is just staggering. We're talking about 14 million metric tons of peppers produced around the world every single year. And every single one of them is the result of this incredibly intense, highly scientific process. So, the next time you slice into a crisp bell pepper, maybe you'll think about all the surprising science and the hidden struggle that went into it. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other secrets are hiding in your grocery cart?